Your brain needs fuel. In fact, your body needs fuel throughout the day. So having a healthy snack, oh my goodness, that makes such a difference in your day. Now, I personally believe that our bodies, our nervous system, our hormones, and our brain needs healthy fats. So these caramel chews, chocolate chews, are my absolute favorite brain snack. Hi, I'm Cheryl Townsley, naturopath and wisdom coach, and helping people eat food that their bodies love and that's easy to make. That's one of my specialties. So I'm going to make it, and you can also find the recipe on our website under the recipes, CherylTownsley.com. So let's go ahead and make it. Now, when I make this without you watching, I never do all this. Everything just gets dumped in. I use the bowl twice, but we're going to try and save a little bit of time. So what I've put in here is some baking cocoa and some almond butter. Now, if you can't do nuts, you could be making this with a sun butter. I've had people make it and say they absolutely love it. Sunflower seed butter, yes. So what we have in here is our almond butter. We have cocoa. We're going to add some melted butter. We're going to add one of my very favorite sweeteners, Fiber Yum. It's made from plant starch. It's not a sugar alcohol. It's not an artificial sugar, but it's super low in carbs and it's very high in fiber. And when the Fiber Yum and the almond butter marry, oh, they are delicious caramel texture flavor. I just love it. And then you don't need a mixer. You just mix all this together with a wooden spoon or a spatula. And no, I didn't warm my butter in the microwave. I know some of you will, but you know, I just can't do that because I want to support my brain. So I actually did it in a pan on top of the stove, and it doesn't take long. So we've got a few lumps in there, and if you want to be a real purist, you can actually sift the cocoa in there. But you know what? That takes too much time, so I never do that. But for the perfectionist, it's another little tip that you can use. Now, I'm going to show you two other little tricks. I used to make these in mini muffin tins, and they work, but they're actually too big and too hard to clean up. So I found these amazing ice cube trays that are silicone with lids on Amazon. And it's just called, this is called freezers, but you can find them on Amazon. And I got two, because I always make a double batch.
How big are the holes?
So I don't know, they're about an inch, and there's 21 of them. And a batch will usually make around 20, depending on how high you fill it. I try to keep it low so I can make more chews. Now here's the other key. I used to try and put it in by spoonfuls, which you can do. But I found that if I just put it in a Ziploc bag, this is for me, so fingers are allowed. Put this in the bag, and then we're going to take this bag. The only reason I had it setting in there is it's easier to keep it from spilling. So let's try and wash off my fingers a little bit so I don't make a huge mess. Okay, so I just squeeze it together. And I'm going to snip off the end like this. And then I'm going to start to just fill up the base of my ice cube little containers.
How deep?
They're never the same. I try to just cover the bottom, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Like, see, they're looking a little bit different. I actually had someone look at the finished one. She said, "How did you make such a swirly, fancy chew?" I said, "It's not fancy. It's however it goes in the container." So I've just learned to do a squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then when it gets towards the end, I take a knife and just keep squeezing towards the end. Try not to poke a hole in your bag, then it squeezes out over everything. But I don't want to lose any of this amazing mixture, so we'll finish up. Looks like I'm still going to probably be about 20. Sometimes it gets stuck on the sides. there's a little treat coming in just a second. So let's say, whoops, that one needs a bit more. So we've got our 20. We almost could have made 21, but so here's what it looks like. You can see they're all different. Really doesn't matter.
You just put a dab of each one.
It's just a dab in each one. And if there's a little bit left over, oh, that is just so good. Makes my day. Now, what I would typically do, put the lid on, put it in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes so it could firm up. I'm not going to do that because you're watching. We want to save some time. So I'm going to go ahead and put it right on top. I've never done that before, but we'll see what happens. So same bowl. We're not going to clean it because that would be too much work. So the top layer is a little bit different. It calls for, instead of a 1/4 cup of everything, we're going to do 1/3 of a cup. So this is my almond butter. Again, you could do...
Where do they get the recipe?
And the recipe for the entire chew is on our website. It's at CherylTownsley.com under recipes. So there's our almond butter. We'll set it aside. Here is, I think I did about 3 tablespoons of melted butter on the stove, not the microwave. Okay, and then we're going to add, there's no cocoa in the top layer. We're going to do 1/3 of a cup of our fiber yum.
Where do they get that?
And that you get on Amazon.com. There is both a powder and a liquid. We use both, but we primarily use the liquid. I use it in a lot of different recipes. And then there's some vanilla, and again, I don't really measure. That's what lids are for. A little bit of vanilla. Did I put everything in? Yes, butter, almond butter. And you may get a few chocolate swirls, but it absolutely is not a problem. Okay, now what we're going to do, I do, on this case, use another little baggie. This is a quart size. You could probably get by with the sandwich size. Open it up, put it in a bowl to help hold it. And we're going to put it in here. Now this one's a little bit thinner because there's no cocoa. But when you freeze it, it comes out equally as delicious as the chocolate layer. So again, what we're going to do, snip off the end. Twist it around and snip the end. Try not to get that in your chocolate. And then we just start putting it in each container. And these would have stabilized a little bit more had I slapped them on the counter, stuck them in the freezer. But you know what? They're going to be equally as good this way. And they're for me. And I'm fine with that. So keep squeezing it in all the way through, all the way through. Let's see if I come out anywhere near equal amounts. And again, as we get near the end,
If they don't have a tray like that, they could use any.
you can use any mini muffin tin will work. You can make it in anything. I've not tried putting it in just a flat container and cutting it in squares.
You just like bite size.
I just like bite size.
But they could do a square tin.
Of course you could. Put the lid on and freeze it up. One other step. If you like salted caramel, take some coarse ground pink Himalayan salt and just go around and sprinkle a little bit on top, grind it on top. This goes in the freezer. Now this is really cool because recently we took a trip to Phoenix in August. It was hot. So if that had been in my suitcase, In a regular pan or container, it had just melted into a glob. But it was so cool having that, and I put an ice pack around it and wrapped it up, and it had gotten soft in my luggage that I checked. But as soon as I got to our hotel, because we always get one with a refrigerator, freezer, put it in the freezer, and I had chews all week. It was yummy. Now, here's what it looks like. Of course, it's already yummy because I've eaten almost half of it. And as I've shown you, here's what it looks like. Now, I had someone say it was hard to get out. All you need is a knife, and just run it along the sides, like that, and then this has been setting out for a little bit, so it's a little bit softer. You just take it out. Sometimes I cut it in half. Sometimes I don't because I'm in a hurry.
Okay, I've got some questions for you.
Let me chew while you tell me the questions.
So this needs to stay in the freezer. That's because if you put them on a plate and serve them,
If you put them on a plate to serve, and it's more than about 5 minutes, they get too soft and they run. You don't want to keep them in the refrigerator. Same reason. Freezer. But it's easy. And guess what I usually have in the freezer? Right beside this? The knife, so I don't have to do 2 trips. These are truly one of my very favorite recipes. Another question?
that's all.
Okay, so you want to support your brain and have low carbs, good fat, taste sensation, easy, no mixer, just stir it together. These are amazing. I hope you enjoy it and many of the other recipes. CherylTownsley.com.